19th, 2025. I'd like to call the Liquor Commission meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk Brady, roll call.
Commissioner Vogel?
Here.
Commissioner Papantos is absent with prior notice. Commissioner Vito?
Here.
Commissioner Lang?
Here.
Commissioner Kruger?
Present.
Commissioner Raffato?
Here.
Chairperson Horker?
Here. You have before you the minutes of the special meeting of April 21st, 2025. Need a motion for their approval.
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Vogel, Commissioner Vogel, second. Commissioner Kruger, roll call.
Commissioner Vito? Yes. Commissioner Lang?
Yes.
Commissioner Kruger?
Yes.
Commissioner Raffato?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogel?
Yes.
Chairperson Horker?
Yes. Any citizens' concerns or comments?
Not today.
Brings us to the meat of the evening.
6A, consideration of a request for a Class D liquor license from Lenny's Wheeling Liquors, LLC, for a proposed package liquor store at 1920 East Hintz Road.
Mr. Spondilis.
Thank you. As the title indicates, this is a request for a package liquor store at the Gas and Wash development. As a reminder that while Lenny's Liquors is a subsidiary of Lenny's Gas and Wash, the business itself is connected to but physically removed from the other businesses within what we are calling a strip center. That would comprise the whole of the Gas and Wash project. So according to our code, that is necessary that a liquor store be completely separate. They have their own ingress, egress, their own washrooms. They are fully segregated from any of the other businesses inside of the Gas and Wash compound, as it were. Happy to answer any questions. If the commission would like to move forward, I would ask that any approval be made upon 4 conditions. First, the passage of an ordinance by the Board of Trustees authorizing the creation of a new Class D liquor license. Second, payment of all associated fees. Third, satisfactory background check results. And finally, submittal of Bassett certificates for all applicable individuals.
Questions or comments? There being none, I entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Motion, Commissioner Raffato, second, Commissioner Lang. Roll call.
Commissioner Vito?
Yes.
Commissioner Lang?
Yes.
Commissioner Kruger?
Yes.
Commissioner Raffato?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogel?
Yes.
Chairperson Horker?
Yes.
All right.
B.
6B, hearing in the matter of Keing Corporation doing business as Chicago Ramen Wheeling at 743 North Milwaukee Avenue, docket number 25-01.
Mr. Ferrolo, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tonight, this is the first of 3 liquor hearings that we have relating to our annual compliance checks run by the police department. First is related to the licensee is Keing Corporation doing business as Chicago Ramen Wheeling. Is there a representative here? Could you come to the podium, please? Would you state and spell your name?
Sure. My name is Terumi Tokita. It's Terumi Tokita.
Okay, we'll have the court reporter swear you in, please.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you will give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Ma'am, are you employed by Chicago Ramen Wheeling?
Yes.
What is your position?
I'm the store manager.
Store manager. And in that position, what do you do as a store manager? What is your role?
My role.
You run the store, basically? Are you-
Yes.
Okay, all righty. Are you familiar with the notice of hearing issued in this case? The notice of hearing? Have you seen
Yes.
this document?
Yes.
Have you reviewed it?
Yes.
Okay. So you're aware that according to this notice of hearing, it is alleged that on March 26th, one of your employees served an underage individual with alcohol?
Yes, I'm aware.
Okay. And how do you plead on behalf of Chicago Ramen Wheeling, liable or not liable?
It's liable. So the person who served the beer to the minor, she knew she had to ask for ID,
Okay.
but she didn't know that when the license is written in vertical, it's the minor's license, but she didn't know, and she didn't calculate the math, the age. So unfortunately, it happened.
All right. I have a couple of other questions, and some of the commissioners may have some questions for you as well. So it's our understanding that Chicago Ramen will not be serving liquor any longer, is that correct?
Correct.
And you did not apply for a liquor license for 2025, correct?
Correct.
So as of April 30th, no liquor has been served, correct? Okay. And following this incident on March 26th, did you take any steps relative to this employee?
Yes, so she was suspended from work 1 week, and we had a sit-down meeting, and even though we were not renewing the license at the time, but I explained to her, because she doesn't speak much English, but I tried to explain to her with like a drawing, when it's vertical, you don't have to do the mouse, you just don't serve beer to when they have a vertical license. And yes, and it's very, very strict in America, so you should not do that. And we talked about this a lot for
Okay.
1 hour.
All right. So commissioners, do you have any questions for the licensee?
Commissioner Kruger?
Yes, thank you. Was the server Bassett trained?
Oh.
Did she have a Bassett certificate?
No, she was not.
And it sounds like you understand that the state makes the license vertical so that you don't have to do the math,
Yes.
right? Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Kruger. Are there any other questions? There are no other questions. Mr. Ferrolo?
Sure. The commission will deliberate in a few minutes and come back out with its decision. So if you can stick around, that would be great.
Here.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right.
6C, hearing the matter of RMPT Beverages LLC doing business as SWEJ Wine and Liquor, 208 McHenry Road, docket number 25-02.
Okay, is there a representative of the licensee, SWEJ Wine and Liquor? Please step forward. Ms. Court Reporter, can you swear in this witness, please?
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you will give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Sir, can you speak loudly so we can hear you
Yes.
as well? And please state your name and spell it for the record.
My name is Tej Patel, T-E-J, last name Patel, P-A-T-E-L.
Okay, and do you work for RMPT Beverages?
I am one of the owner.
Okay. Do you work at the store regularly?
I go usually like 3 or 4 times a week.
All right. Have you reviewed the notice of hearing that was
Yes.
issued in this case? So you're aware that it is alleged that on March 26th, one of your employees served an underage individual with liquor,
Yes,
or sold liquor to an underage individual. You're aware of that?
yes,
And how do you plead on behalf of the licensee? Liable or not liable?
liable.
Okay. And I've got a couple of questions, and that will be followed up by questions by the commission. Does your store have a policy on the sale of liquor and the checking of IDs?
Yes,
You do. Okay. Have you provided that to the village?
yes.
All right.
In the last time, we did provide it, yes.
Okay. All right. Any questions from the commissioners?
Commissioner Kruger has a question.
Yes, hi. Same question. Was the server who sold the alcohol Bassett trained?
Yes, and after the incident, we made him do another one, just to make sure that he knows and he's aware of it.
He had a
So I
Bassett
made him do the
certificate.
class again, but he was already, which I submitted to the village.
Very good.
But after the incident, we made him do it again.
Very good. Thank you.
You failed 2 of these in a row, both of them since you got your license.
Yes. So after this incident, we did hire a manager. He's kind of under the training. We do have a couple other stores, so I want somebody to go there every single day, give them instruction and follow what's going on. So we do hire a manager that's gonna take care of it, so we will make sure this won't happen again.
Mr. Furlow.
If there's no further questions for the commission, just like I indicated to the last licensee, the commission will be recessing to executive session in just a few minutes.
Okay.
They'll make a decision relative to this violation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
D.
6D, hearing in the matter of Krystyna's Deli, Inc., doing business as Katie Market at 835 West Dundee Road, docket number 25-03.
Mr. Furlow.
Sure.
Oh, I'm sorry. Come on up, say hi, introduce yourself.
Good evening. Ms. Court Reporter, please swear in the witness.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you will give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, please state and spell your name for the record.
Agnes Colon, AGNESCOLON,
Okay, and what is your position with Krystyna's Market?
front-end manager.
All right. And are you familiar with the notice of hearing and the petition served in this case?
Yes,
So you're aware that it is alleged that on March 26th, one of your employees sold liquor to an underage individual
yes,
in violation of the Wheeling Code and state law?
yes,
And are you prepared to plead on behalf of the licensee?
Yes.
Do you plead liable?
yes.
Okay. And does your store have a policy on the sale of liquor and the checking of IDs?
Yes, they check ID. She did probably put the date wrong, I'm not sure, because on our system, when you put a date and it's on the age, it light up in the red, and when you put the right age, it's the green. So I'm not sure why she did that.
Did you
But
speak
she
to your
checked it.
employee
Yes,
about
she
this?
got warning, and she took the full responsibilities as we did. too.
Okay. Are there any further questions from the commissioners?
Commissioner Kruger?
Same question as before, was the person who sold the alcohol Bassett drained?
She have valid list.
Thank you.
Mr. Furlow?
All right, if there are no further questions, we will be out in a few minutes to tell you our decision. We can
Motion to recess into executive session to discuss the evidence or testimony, please.
So moved.
Commissioner Kruger, second. Second. Commissioner Lang, roll call.
Commissioner Raffato?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vito?
Yes.
Commissioner Lang?
Yes.
Commissioner Kruger?
Yes.
Chairperson Horker?
Okay. A couple minutes, thanks.
Recess. still sound busy. Yeah. Everybody. I would like to call the regular meeting of the Liquor Commission back into session.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Kruger, second Commissioner Vogel. Do we roll call?
No, all in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Ferrolo, what do we got?
Certainly. Chicago Ramen, please step forward. Based on your plea of libel from the commission, is there a motion to assess the following penalties and fines? A fine of $500, court cost of one-third of court cost incurred this evening, all to be paid no later than May 26th. Can somebody make that motion?
Motion?
So moved.
Commissioner Kruger, second.
Second.
Commissioner Vogel, roll call.
Commissioner Vito? Yes. Commissioner Lang?
Yes.
Commissioner Kruger?
Yes.
Commissioner Raffado?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogel?
Yes.
And Chairperson Horker.
Yes. Mr. Ferrolo?
Ma'am, an order will be served on you tomorrow. We'll send an order with this information. Okay?
To the restaurant?
To the restaurant, yes. Yeah, to the restaurant, yes. Thank you.
so much.
Thank you for coming. All right, next is SWEJ Wine and Liquor. Based on the plea of libel we heard in open session, is there a motion from the commission to assess the following penalties and costs? A fine of $1,500, a suspension of 1 day to be served on June 9th during regular business hours, the application of court costs, 1/3 of this evening's costs, all payable no later than May 26th.
So moved.
Commissioner Raffado, second.
Second.
Commissioner Vogel, roll call.
Commissioner Lang?
Yes.
Commissioner Kruger?
Yes.
Commissioner Raffado?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vito?
Yes.
Chairperson Horker.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We will serve you an order with this information, and payment will be due in 1 week.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. And then the last, Krystyna's Deli. Based on a plea of libel we heard in open session, is there a motion from the commission to assess a fine in the amount of $500, administrative court costs in the amount of 1/3 of this evening's cost, all payable no later than Monday, May 26th?
Motion?
So moved.
Commissioner Kruger, second.
Second.
Commissioner Raffado, roll call.
Commissioner Kruger?
Yes.
Commissioner Raffado?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vito? Commissioner Lang?
Yes.
Chairperson Horker.
Yes.
That concludes the proceedings for the Liquor Commission. We will serve you an order that has the information regarding the fines and how those should be paid and when they should be paid. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ferrolo. Thank you, everyone, for participating. I need a motion to adjourn the regular session of the Liquor Control Commission.
So moved.
Commissioner Vogel, and second, Commissioner Lang. Liquor Commission is adjourned. I'd like to reconvene. I'd like to convene. I'm going to talk slow,
Hold on, please.
as we move faster than technology. I will call to order the regular meeting of the Village of Wheeling
All right, we're set.
for Monday, May 19th, 2025.
All right,
Clerk Brady, roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel?
Here.
Trustee Papantos is absent with prior notice. Trustee Vito? Trustee Lang?
Here.
Trustee Kruger?
Present.
Trustee Raffado?
Here.
President Horker.
Here, any changes to the agenda?
There are no changes this evening.
Proclamations. We have a couple tonight.
Wait, which is first? Public Works. National Public Works Week, May 18th through the 24th. Whereas Public Works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities, and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of the Village of Wheeling. And whereas this infrastructure, facilities, and service could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals, who are engineers, managers, employees at all levels of government and the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our national transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste system, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in the Wheeling to gain knowledge of and maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2025 marks the 65th Annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Associated Canadian Public Works Association, Patrick Horker, President of the Village of Wheeling, does hereby proclaim May 18th through May 24th, 2025, a National Public Works Week in Wheeling, and urges all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, to recognize the
And to recognize the substantial contributions.
they make to protecting our national health, safety, and advancing quality of life for all.
Thank you. Public Works is actually the biggest portion of our budget. Where'd you go, Dan? But it only has to do with water in and water out and keeping the streets and sidewalks nice and level. So yeah, they do deserve everybody's recognition. It's that thing that runs in the background constantly that nobody understands. So thank you, Mr. Kaup.
All right, ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
EMS Week, May 18th through the 24th. Whereas emergency medical services are a vital public service, and whereas the members of emergency medical service teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and reconvenience of those who experience sudden illness or injury, and whereas emergency medical service fill healthcare gaps by providing important out-of-hospital care, including preventative medicine, follow-up care, and access to the medicine, and whereas the emergency medical services system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicals, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurse, emergency nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the public, and other out-of-the-hospital medical care provides. And whereas the members of the emergency medical service teams engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills, and whereas it is important to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical services provides by designating Emergency Medical Service Week. And whereas the 51st anniversary of the EMS Week theme is We Care for Everyone. Patrick Horker, President of the Village of Wheeling, does hereby proclaim May 18th through May 24th, 2025 as EMS Week in Wheeling, and encourage the community to honor the EMS profession, and the essential services it provides.
No, you guys are an amazing group of people. All of our public servants are. Your job is saving lives and protecting lives, and so it's a small token, but thank you all sincerely. You get to be the one whose hand I shake, but everybody deserves some recognition, so thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
This is yours.
Thank you.
You got.
Yes, much more important than that. As part of EMS Week, 2 of our members have been nominated and have received the Exemplary EMS Educator Award through the IDPH, the Illinois Department of Public Health. Would Dick Tomesco and Pat Leahy please come on up? Nick and Pat have been part of an experiment, several. But this one has to do with EMS education. About 10 years ago, they went to St. Francis EMS system, who is the system that we work under, and they proposed that they become our EMS educators, where throughout our history, we have always had nurses come and teach us. I think in all candor, they were expected to fail and thought that that would quiet them. In reality, they have blown away every instructor that we have had, and the instructors that we have had were phenomenal. Pat has been a paramedic since 1992, so 33 years experience, which accounts for some of that gray hair in the beard. I don't have gray hair.
And he's been with us since
It's white paint.
1999. Nick has been a paramedic since 2005, and you've been with us since 2010. These gentlemen have been able to weave their experience on calls with us into the education that they provide for us every month. And that drives that knowledge home to us and has made us better paramedics, better first responders. They both have been teaching us. They both have been teaching outside with Nick teaching for Southern Illinois University, amongst other things, and sitting on IDPH and AFFI boards in EMS. And Pat teaching at NIPSTA in the past, and now teaching an EMT class several times a year. Their impact reaches far beyond Wheeling, but it has certainly affected us, and much, much for the better. So I would like to present you with your excellence in education. Pat, thank you. Laurel and hearty handshake. As a token of our appreciation.
Thank you, sir. Good?
And we've also got
Oh, sorry.
Oh, well, yes, moving on.
Life-Saving Award
Yes.
for Police Officer Dan Pawlus. Dan, come up. I'll just read this one out loud. For exceptional performance of his duties while working on Sunday, the 13th of April, Officer Pawlus responded to a reported cardiac arrest at 150 Sunrise Drive in Wheeling. Officer Pawlus
arrived and found the occupant in cardiac arrest and began aggressive CPR. Officer Pawlus continued CPR until the arrival of EMS from the Wheeling Fire Department and turned over care to the arriving paramedics. Ms. Claire Gretfield regained a heartbeat after and had a significant positive outcome due to the aggressive response of Officer Pawlus performing high-quality CPR. If not for his actions, the outcome of this incident would have been graver. For that, Officer Pawlus has upheld the highest standards of the Wheeling Police and Fire Departments by doing his absolute best for the Village of Wheeling and its residents. Given under my hand at Station 44 headquarters this 19th day of May in the year of our Lord 2025, signed Fire Chief Scott Salela. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. That's the training in action right there.
Training in action.
Clerk Brady, citizens' comments?
No, staff report.
Staff reports. Mr. Kaup, how's Dundee Road looking?
Yes, good evening, President Horker, members of the board. Just as a quick update, I had mentioned at an earlier meeting that there will be an intersection closure at Route 83 Elmhurst and Dundee based on the contractor's inability to directional bore a section of pipe based on soil quality. That shutdown has been scheduled tentatively for the first week in June. And that's still a tentative schedule based on contractor availability as well as project conditions that may supersede our ability to do that. But right now, we're looking at the first week in June. The work itself will take about a day and a half. We then have to pour concrete, and the cure time for that concrete is 3 or 4 days. So we're looking at having pretty close to a 1-week closure of that intersection based on the direction from the Illinois Department of Transportation. So I will keep you all apprised, both through the project report and as well as any updates that may come before the closure, either through the meeting or through written communication. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
I do. Dan, this closure, the gas station, the 7-Eleven, how more severely impacted is that gas station going to be? Right now, you can only get to it on 83. So if you're going to be closing 83, will at least Dundee Road be open for them?
Yes, Dundee Road will be open, but the intersection at 83 will be closed. So Dundee will be open east and west. You will not be able to access Dundee from 83, either going north or south.
And you'll be able to get to that gas station from Dundee? Because right now, there's concrete barriers on Dundee.
Yeah.
You can't get into that gas station from Dundee.
Cannot get into the gas station from Dundee, correct, because the outside lane is barriered with the Jersey barriers, eastbound, yeah.
So will that be opened?
I'll have to get back to you on that.
So will they have, okay.
They,
If you
I'll
get
have
back to me,
I'll have to
because
check,
then
yeah.
if you're restricting complete access,
Again, this is something that we're not looking to do. This was something that was directed to the village from IDOT, but
completely
yes.
understand, but
Our village engineer looks like he has something to say. Kyle, can you come
From the
up
microphone, yeah. I forgot he was here, yeah.
No offense.
No offense.
I'll get you an immediate answer. So I did have a conversation with our contractor today, and they did say that they will have the Dundee Road access to 7-Eleven open when we have this intersection closure. I also want to clarify, yes, Dundee Road will be open, northbound Elmhurst will be open, but you will not be able to proceed northbound across the intersection on Elmhurst Road. So, but yeah, 7-Eleven will have access on Dundee, but during this closure, they won't have access off of Elmhurst. So it'll switch.
fine, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Kyle?
Thank you, Mr. Kaup.
You're welcome. Thank you, Kyle Getzelman.
Clerk Brady, consent agenda.
Consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the village board and will be enacted by one motion. There'll be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member or citizen so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered after all other agenda items. 11A.
Hi, I'd like to ask for the item for the order of the rifles from Ray O'Haran to be taken off the consent agenda. Since it's such a large volume, 24 rifles were ordered. I think it should have gone out to competitive bidding, and I don't think you should approve waiving the competitive bidding. So I'd like you to move that.
You want it pulled. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear what you said right before that.
I said you want it pulled.
I do, yes, and
Thank
put on the,
you.
yes, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
So we're now 11B.
Correct.
11B, resolution accepting and approving a contract with Chicagoland Paving Contractors, Inc. for the Wheeling Town Center Park District Property Access Project in the amount not to exceed $65,000. 11C, approving a 2-year contract with Chicagoland Paving Contractors, Inc. for asphalt patching in an amount not to exceed $80,000. 11D, resolution authorizing the purchase of 7 sets of firefighting protective clothing from Air One, a sole source provider at the cost not to exceed $30,115. 11E, resolution authorizing the village manager to execute professional service contract with BizNow LLC for economic development, event, and marketing services in the amount not to exceed $45,000.
Any questions or comments? Consent agenda minus A, which now became 13C. Need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion, trustee Vogel, second trustee Lang. Roll call.
Trustee Lang,
Yes.
trustee Krueger, trustee Rafato,
Yes.
trustee Vogel,
Yes.
trustee Vito,
Yes.
President Horton.
Yes.
New business.
New business.
13A, resolution waiving the Fidelity bond requirements for Wheeling Helping Hands to conduct a raffle on September 20th, 2025.
Who's that? Mr. Spondilis.
Thank you. As the title indicates, this is a request by Wheeling Helping Hands to waive the Fidelity bond for a raffle that they will be conducting. It is typical that the village has made such accommodations for charities. The reason that this is on new business is because trustee Vogel is a member of Wheeling Helping Hands and cannot vote on the matter.
Questions or comments?
So moved.
Motion to
Second.
approve, trustee Rafato, second trustee Krueger. Roll call, please.
Trustee Krueger,
Yes.
trustee Rafato,
Yes.
trustee Vito,
Yes.
trustee Lang,
Yes.
President Horker.
Yes.
You can call trustee Vogel,
Oh, trustee Vogel,
just
Abstain.
for the record, correct?
thank you,
You
sorry.
should be called, though.
Okay.
Number B.
13B, discussion regarding pavement management policy.
Mr. Kalp. You? Mr. Spondilis.
I'm going to give the introduction to the introduction so that Kyle can do the talking. This is very exciting. Over the past several years, the village has focused on identifying public infrastructure needs and creating defined maintenance and replacement schedules for them. This began in effect several years ago when the Department of Public Works, in conjunction with the Finance Department, started doing the heavy lifting of making those identifications, starting to put together policies that make sense, and really doing the math to make sure that the Village of Wheeling is moving in the right direction, both from understanding what is expected of us from a replacement perspective, but perhaps more importantly, making sure that we are making the right decisions today and every year moving forward from a budgetary perspective. When we talk about infrastructure, we're talking about major assets. Last year, the board approved a water infrastructure and rate study that allowed us to create a specific lifespan of a stick of water main, to know that there will never be a water main in the village of Wheeling older than 90 years. And then the backside of that was creating the funding that would make sure that we're able to stick to that. Tonight we're going to talk about a pavement preservation plan. A little different this evening because the village has historically had an excellent road replacement program in place. So tonight we are doing less convincing and more just asking for consensus. Tonight we're showing our homework. The process of participating in asset management has allowed us to really put the academia behind the decisions that have been made for many years. And that's a significant compliment to the department who's been able to do that for so many years before we started implementing asset management. And moving forward now, and you'll see some pretty cool toys that Kyle will show as to how we can appropriately manipulate the plan in order to get the best use of the dollars that we have allocated for road replacement, because we have a number of different sources of revenue when it comes to road maintenance and replacement. So I wanted to give just that introduction so that everyone really understood both where we're going with asset management in general and to complement the department in particular with the work that has been done and now is not only continuing but growing exponentially, and we have really come a long way, and that is due in large part to these gentlemen before you. So, Director Kalpa.
Thank you, Manager Spondilis, President Horker, members of the board. Over the past 2 years, the village has embarked on moving forward toward a best practices model of managing the village's infrastructure through the use of asset management principles. This began with the implementation of an asset management software that you may be familiar with, Cartograph. You approved the purchase of that in 2022. We started using the software in 2023, and that allows staff to more effectively catalog the current assets for which the village is responsible, identify the condition of each asset, schedule and perform the maintenance to keep the assets in serviceable condition, and then finally plan to budget for their eventual replacement. Tonight, we're going to present for you a summary of how we've changed our pavement maintenance, scoring, and replacement processes over the last few years. The purpose of tonight's presentation is twofold. Part of tonight is a dog and pony show. We want to share with you how staff builds our pavement preservation program as holistically as possible by attempting to leverage data to make better decisions with the money that you have entrusted with us. We're excited to demonstrate how the software builds models for future road replacement projects to model how different sized budgets will impact the overall condition of the total road network. We can use the software to see how an additional amount of money for the program will change the level of service so that we can better dial in precisely how many roads we should be including in each year's project. And second, we're seeking your confirmation that the level of service that we provide the village for pavement condition is appropriate from your perspective. We are asking the board to make this commitment because it's important to anticipate both asset failures and the associated costs that come with the replacement of those failures. Kyle Getzelman, our village engineer, is going to share with you the current overall average score of our pavement condition, which is a 76 out of 100. That's a very solid average score. 9 times out of 10 when we receive a phone call from someone about a pavement concern, the road in question turns out to be owned either by the county or the state. Potholes are much more frequently reported to us for issues on Schoenbeck or Hintz rather than a locally owned street. We hope to share with you tonight the perspective that it's important to quantify the condition of these streets, to have metrics. It's important to plan financially by way of use of efficient asset management to best ensure that we're offering a high level of service. Now, that's not to say that all roads are a 76, that's an average. Some of our roads are a 42, that's not good. But those are going to be replaced in short order. We are identifying them. Our goal with this level of service is to minimize the number of streets that with potholes or major deficiencies. 76 is not a cliff. Roads will continue to be serviceable long time after that. It's an average. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Kyle Getzelman, our village engineer, to review our current program and to seek your input on it.
Thank you, Dan. Good evening, everyone. So Dan outlined pretty much how we utilize cartograph, and I'm going to kind of go through specifically how this impacts our pavement preservation plan. Oops, let's see what we got here. All right, so a little bit of background. Obviously, all the roads are scale, or we have a rating on all of our roads of 0 to 100. That's our PCI. We assess these roads every 3 years. You can kind of see this map right here, color coordinated. Obviously, green represents higher rated roads, red not so much, but this one represents the southwest quadrant of the town. And in order for us to kind of proceed forward with scenarios for our pavement preservation plan, we kind of need to know what the condition of all the roadways are, and this is how we go about doing that. With that, our asset management software Cartograph, we utilize that to monitor roadway conditions in between assessment years. As mentioned, we only do assessments every 3 years, but they use a degradation curve, which I'll kind of explain in a little bit more detail later on, to kind of assess the rating of these roads in between assessment cycles. And on top of that, we have Scenario Builder, which is an add-on that allows us to develop budgeting or level of service scenarios to plan for future projects. So goals for this pavement preservation plan are pretty straightforward. We want to maximize pavement life, maintain a level of service for our roadway network, and replace assets before they fail, before they get to the point where they need to be reconstructed, which obviously costs quite a bit more money. So the way we kind of go about doing that, the degradation curve, which is on the left side here, is basically just a chart that shows the condition of the roadway versus the age of the roadway. It's not a linear relationship, so as the road gets a little bit older, the quality of the road starts to decrease pretty significantly. So what we're hoping to achieve here is in the earlier life cycle of the road, we'd like to spend a little extra money on pavement preservation projects, if you will, reclamite, crack sealing, in order to increase the lifespan of the roadway. It's a little bit more money up front, but the goal here is to obviously increase the lifespan of the road, which will save us money in the long run. So this is a kind of expanded out version of that degradation curve. And basically it kind of just compares in red roads that aren't treated to the blue, which are roads that are treated. Some key takeaways from this are, over the course of a 75 or 80 year lifespan of a road, which is about how long a roadway lasts before they need to be reconstructed, roads that are not treated will generally have a 15-year lifespan, give or take. And then obviously you can see over 75 years, we'll have resurfaced the road approximately 5 times. So if we start implementing pavement preservation plans or projects, reclamite, crack sealing, that will increase the lifespan of the road. Then over the course of 75, 80 years, maybe we only do 3 or 4 resurfacing projects. Obviously, that's a significant savings in the long term, with a little bit more money spent on, each cycle of the road. But if the cycle of the road lasts longer, obviously that's money saved. So I'm not going to, so you're all probably fairly familiar with these types of projects, so I'm not going to go into too much detail about what they are as much as when we implement them and approximate cost. So asphalt preservation is generally the least intrusive and type of treatment method, if you will. Reclamite is one of the treatment methods that we use, and basically it reduces basically slows down the oxidation process, holds together aggregate surface, and it's applied at years 1 and year 7. This cost is approximately $60,000 a roadway mile. Crack sealing, pretty self-explanatory. We seal the cracks to prevent water infiltration. Obviously that increases the life expectancy of the base underneath the road. We implement this crack sealing treatment at around years 5 and 7, somewhere in that range. It really depends on the condition of the roadway. And then again, around year 12. This cost is about $15,000 a mile. Asphalt rehabilitation. This treatment method is a little bit more intrusive. Basically, we're going in there and doing spot patching on the roads. Once a road gets to a PCI of around 55 or 60, which is the bottom third of its life, we'll kind of go out there and do some asphalt patching to increase the drivability of the road, make it a little bit smoother in areas that are degrading faster than others. We budget around $40,000 a year for this type of patching. It yields about 14,000 square yards of patches. Continuation about regarding asphalt rehabilitation. Another treatment method is resurfacing. So these are your MFT programs that we have every year. Roads with a PCI of 55 or less are considered for resurfacing. And when I say considered, is they're put on our radar for the next 5 years. That doesn't mean we necessarily resurface them at 55, but that's when we kind of start looking at them. So asphalt resurfacing basically is from curb to curb, 2-inch grind and overlay of the asphalt with some spot curb replacement. When this project, when resurfacing is completed, the PCI goes all the way back to 100 and starts the clock again. So these projects typically are around $600,000 a mile. The final treatment method is reconstruction. So, you know, you can get probably 4 or 5 resurfacing cycles on a roadway before the base actually starts to fail after maybe 60 to 80 years. That is when we start looking at reconstruction. So when the PCI drops down low enough for us to start considering resurfacing, we'll also start looking at the base. If it needs reconstruction, that means all asphalt gets removed, new stone, all the way down to the subgrade. This is the most expensive, probably about $2 million per mile. So there's 2 main criteria that kind of drive this pavement preservation plan, failure mode and level of service. So we kind of like some feedback on at what point do we consider a road to be failed. That kind of tells us, once the road gets to a PCI of this, we never let it go below that, and that's when it gets considered, or that's when it gets put into our pavement, or 5-year pavement resurfacing plan. And then level of service, what is the overall, PCI, or the overall average of the PCI throughout the entire village. As Dan mentioned, we currently have an overall OCI. I use OCI and PCI interchangeably, but OCI is just the average. It's at 76. So I'll show you what that means here in a second. So up until now, the PCI was just numbers, really doesn't mean a whole lot, but if you kind of look at some of these pictures, it kind of shows you what the conditions of the road look like based on these different PCI numbers. On the left there, you see a PCI of 30, which has all the surface aggregate missing, lots of cracks. It's a very poor condition. And then we obviously have a 45 at the upper right corner there. So this is where we kind of expect roads to, at that point, where they need to be resurfaced. That's kind of the low end of the PCI range, and anything, as it starts to get older than that, starts to deteriorate much more quickly. Right below that is a PCI of 60. That road's relatively smooth, but obviously you can see that it's starting to develop more cracks, and some surface aggregate is disappearing. And then we start to kind of go up on the range here. PCI of 75, that roadway is obviously in great shape. Same with 90. PCI of 90 is probably a road that's 3 or 4 years old. So now is when I'm going to kind of talk about scenario builder a little bit and kind of show you some different scenarios. These first couple are going to be a little on the extreme side, but then we'll kind of get into some more realistic ones. So if we ignore our roadways, all of our roadway improvement projects, how long will it take for our roadway network to get to an OCI of about 50, and that's about 15 years. So basically, if we don't do any roadway projects over the next 15 years, our overall average is going to drop all the way down to a 50. And like I said, that's an average. So some roads are going to be much less than that. Some might be a little more. Obviously, 50 is not a great number for our pavement condition index. The next scenario, if we had significant funding, we wanted to have our OCI of 90. This would cost about $73 million over the next 5 years. And you can see the breakdown of these charts by year on the bottom third here. So the first year, $43 million, and then we wouldn't do any work for 2 years, and then $23 million and $7 million. Obviously, this is not realistic. We don't have $73 million to spend on roadways over 5 years, but this is just an example. So now we kind of get to the more realistic examples. Target OCI of 76, which is currently what our roadway condition is today, our roadway network, I mean. This costs about $10.7 million over the next 5 years, including an approximate 3% cost for inflation each year. You can kind of see, on the bottom third there, $2 million, $1.8 million. It kind of varies over the 5 years. The bar graph just above that is kind of an important one. This is where we separate different types of budgeting. So we have about $1.7 million for each year from MFT funding. And then we have some storm sewer related projects where we resurface the road when it's done. So you'll see those there in year 1. And then we have water main projects where we resurface the roads after the water main project is done. Those all use different funding, but it all gets put into the same pot here and shows the, and gets incorporated into this scenario. So the next scenario that we've generated here is if we want to increase the OCI of our roads from a 76 to a 78, this is about $12 million over the next 5 years, so an increase of about $250,000 a year, about, I think, $1.3 million over 5 years. So this is, what it would cost if we wanted to increase our roadway, our overall average PCI. If we wanted to go the other direction and go from a 76 to a 74, basically reducing our roadway program, this shows it would cost about $6.2 million over the next 5 years. So that would be down about $4.5 million from where we currently stand. So and again, this is just another breakdown of shows you in the first 2 years we would be spending very minimal amount of money. That would reduce the overall PCI to 74, and then it would kind of maintain at about $1.4 million each year after that. So those are all the scenarios that we kind of generated. Like I said at the beginning here, we're kind of looking for some feedback on whether or not we feel that the level of service of our roads is sufficient, and what we'd like to see is a kind of a failure mode for our roadway. If we go back here just for a quick, so I could just show you the picture here. We kind of anticipate a 45 to be at the low end. That's kind of where we'd like to see the failure mode, but obviously we're looking for feedback from you. The 45, that picture on the upper right just kind of shows you what that roadway condition would look like. We don't anticipate, the plan is that if we have a failure mode of around 45, that the roads would never get below that. Obviously, we would start assessing resurfacing of those roads before we got to that point. But those are the two items that are kind of here to discuss. So if you have any feedback or questions, more than happy to answer.
Mr. Spondilis, you want to comment on this?
Thank you.
And
Yes.
then there's some questions.
This is certainly a topic that we could spend, weeks diving into. What I just wanted to make sure that everyone, or I guess the question is about sweet spot. So as Kyle said, 76 is where our average is now, and what you saw in the scenario builder is that the pendulum can swing drastically in either direction. But either extreme really is not realistic. The idea of spending $90 million every 5 years to replace $90 million to replace your streets to get to somewhere around a 90 number is unrealistic, and so is a pendulum swinging the other way. But one of the things I just wanted to make sure that everyone understood as we were moving forward with the question of do you agree with where we're at is really the funding source. So right now, we are in the sweet spot both financially and with our road conditions. And that's because we've been so diligent over the past decades in making sure that we stay on top of our road maintenance. There's not a lot of leeway. So I just wanted to mention that in case someone wanted to say, hey, I think we should be around an 80 or so. We got to this number both because of the pavement assessments, but also because that's where our MFT monies are coming from. That's where our road maintenance budgets are at. So I just wanted to kind of tie those things together by saying there's a sweet spot both with the amount of money that we are able to spend based on our funding sources and the condition assessment as you see them in action out there.
Trustee Kruger, then Trustee Lang.
Thank you, Kyle. Thanks for the presentation. Very educational. I have some questions for you.
Sure.
Certainly, you know that I'm going to ask about streets that were part of the areas that were involuntarily annexed in 2003. So Vera, Edwards, Russell, Jackson. The other subdivision is now Panatone, so we don't worry about that subdivision anymore. But those streets, as you know, are not built to IDOT standards. They do not have curb and gutter. It's just asphalt to grass. Are the scenarios that we saw here and the timetables, are those roads treated the same as streets in the town that have curb and gutter?
Yeah, yes, ultimately, they're treated the same because what we're basing these decisions on is the pavement quality. Whether or not it has curb and gutter is not super relevant in this case. The assessment is for the actual roadway condition. So, any of those roads would be treated the same as the roads that have curb and gutter.
Okay, those roads in particular will likely always be resurfaced as opposed to reconstruction?
That's kind of dependent on, budgetary conversations and ultimately whether or not the base of these roads is failing. If the base on these roads are failing, obviously we'll reconsider and we would basically have to do a full profile, curb and gutter and all of that.
Well, I can certainly say that Jackson in particular had not been touched by Cook County for 27 years
Yep.
until we did it
Yes.
in, I don't remember.
It was
Tried to rack
like
my brain.
2016 or 2017, I think. Yep.
Perhaps, yeah. But, and it's been great, and it probably looked like the 50, show me this. Yeah, probably looks like, it's probably a 50. It's not a 60, but it's, it's still in okay shape. Now I want to bring up, if you've been down Jackson lately, there's been quite a bit of new construction. New construction homeowners have destroyed their entranceway, the street, to their driveways. It's the responsibility of the homeowner and the property owner to fix the road where their heavy trucks and traffic has destroyed the road, correct?
Yes. Or
So
the aprons leading into their property, and if they're damaging the road as part of their construction, we'll obviously have to assess that.
Absolutely. You will have to in two cases, and I only know this because I walk my dog, and I typically am watching her and not the road, and darn near turn an ankle because I'm falling 2 inches off of the road into a hole. So I would hope, we've got an inspector that comes down the street pretty much every day, so I'm certain that they're watching that and let them know. But if a home reconstruction or construction of a new home takes 2-3 years, you know what I mean? How much damage can happen on the road, with the road if, they would say, oh, well, we'll fix that part of the road when we're done building our house in 3 years. Now, how much water and alligatoring and seepage and damage can that be? So I'm kind of like wanting to just at least put it out there in the universe that this is happening.
Sure.
And on a road that has never been built to IDOT standards, and it's maybe a 50 right now, after being first time touched in 2017, after 27 years. And I'm just trying to say that these areas might need a little bit more attention when we're driving through and assessing
Sure.
those types of roads, that's all.
And we'll absolutely, and thank you for bringing that to our attention. Obviously, we'll have to evaluate each of these. There's not that many new homes going up on there, so we can certainly assess these on a case-by-case basis. If they're getting damaged as a result of.
Or in the last 3
You're
years.
right, you're right. Actually, not an insignificant number, but, enough where we can easily go out there and assess them on a case-by-case basis and see, the condition of the road before and after the construction and see if that's, something.
Nobody's gonna like having to fix it before they're done fixing their road or building their house. But I would rather not see that space open and gravel showing and it destroying the rest of the road.
Sure.
Until they get around to getting it done. So maybe a patch, or a patch that we charge them back or something, but
Yeah.
so far, Jackson has had the crack sealing and, pavement patch.
Yep.
When needed, so appreciate that.
Yeah, and I appreciate you bringing that to our attention. We certainly can keep an eye on that.
Oh, that's all I had, thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Trustee Krueger. Trustee Lang?
Thanks, Kyle. This was a great presentation. About 10 years ago or so, we did some grinding and patching in swatches along the curb, like a 6-foot grind. Are we still doing that at all? And how did that work out for us?
So this was kind of before my time here, but my understanding was those were just edge patching, on roads that, and I'll first tell the history, and I'll kind of tell you how we're kind of addressing it moving forward here. But yes, what that was edge patching. You know, on roads that had thinner asphalt profiles, we'd get some rutting along the edges from garbage trucks or heavy, vehicles traveling down the road. And the thought process was that they would just do while the middle of the road might have looked fine, the edges were obviously deteriorating, so they would come in there and basically just grind the edges. So obviously the problem with that is then if the center of the road started to fail, 5 or 6 years later, are we going to do a patch down the middle of the road? Probably not. We'd probably grind the entire road, and then we'd basically have 5 or 6 year old asphalt that's getting ground up, and some would see that as money wasted. So what we've kind of doing to address that now is when we do our resurfacing projects, first, obviously, we always do cores to get an idea of how thick the asphalt is, but if there's sections that are rutting, we'll do thicker patches along the side to protect it from future issues such as that. But we generally don't do edge patching anymore. We kind of incorporate fixes for that into our resurfacing programs. Yep.
Thank you, Trustee Lang. So staff seeks the board input determining the desired overall average pavement condition throughout the village or level of service. You're looking for, oh, this is a good picture.
Yeah.
You're looking for which of these is like a acceptable level?
So currently, what we would call our failure mode is a 45, and what we would call our level of service is 75 or greater. Right now, we're at a 76, and as you saw from the modeling scenarios that Kyle presented, even a single point as a goal has a significant financial impact. What we're looking to seek from the board is confirmation that you feel as a group the level of service that we're providing is adequate, or whether we should consider dialing it up slightly. To Manager Svandilis's perspective and point, that each grade, each point above or below what we have right now is the overall condition and index average has a significant cost. What we're looking for is, from a policy perspective, direction looking forward for the next 5 or 10 years to continue what we're doing, or to have any feedback from you if you have any thoughts on the matter.
Does the current formula of road condition against motor fuel to MFT, is that working at an equilibrium? Are we losing ground, or are we gaining a little ground as far as going down the streets? Or is this one of those things where a bad salty winter is gonna push us over some threshold where we're gonna need some serious work?
No, that's a good question. Right now, we are at a comfortable stasis. We have, in spite of increased costs for materials and labor, been able to maintain the level of MFT funding that we expend every year, with a slight increase based on what our population-based revenues are. We have typically 3 pots of money that we use for these construction projects, which is MFT, general fund, CIP, capital project fund money, and then utility money, either a storm sewer or water main, depending on the projects that we incorporate into the resurfacing. If we're replacing some pipe, then that will be considered as part of the revenues as well. Right now, because we've increased the amount of maintenance work that we've done, we've been able to extend the life of the roads, so that $1.7 million plus or minus in MFT funds every year will continue to cover that 76 OCI. The MFT funding was increased a few years ago, but we don't have any expectation that it's going to continue to be increased. And so because of that, we've been trying to focus additional efforts on increased maintenance. So we've gone from 1 application of Reclamite over the lifespan of a resurfacing life cycle to 2 applications. And then likewise with crack sealing. The idea is to take that 15-year life cycle that Kyle pointed out for untreated surface to 23 or 24. Right now, we're between 23 and 24. We would like to extend that even farther. When somebody comes to you as an elected official and says, Hey, you know, my road hasn't been replaced for 24 years. I've lived here since 2001, and I haven't gotten a new road. And you look at the road, and it still has an OCI of 50. You say, well, you know what, we've done a pretty good job. The idea is to, compared to the water main example that Manager Sfondilis gave, get every stick of pipe out of the ground within 90 years. For pavements, flexible pavements, we want to maintain the level of service while extending the amount of time between
Well, the
resurfacing.
replacement schedule is not a calendar, it's a quality.
It's a quality, that's exactly
Okay.
correct. That's a great way of framing the matter.
Okay. I'm sorry, I jumped in at the beginning. Trustee Rufato, you had something?
I do, yes. So, your graph shows PCI. Is this an example? You know, you've got the PCI number on the left, and then the age is on the bottom. Is that an example, or is that, because where does the amount of traffic on a road play into this? Because you've got some roads like East Dennis in Dunhurst that's probably got a lot of traffic because it's a main road into that subdivision, or even St. Armand. So how does that play into the scoring, if you will?
That's actually a very good question, and something that is going to come with more experience and time. In a short answer, something that we're going to develop in time here. But this graph that we're looking at here is it's a pretty generic graph. And basically what we're hoping to kind of achieve here is, you know, obviously some roads are going to see greater deterioration with heavier traffic versus residential roads. And the graph is certainly going to be different. That's not something we really have enough data points on. So as we start collecting, as we assess these roads every 3 years, we're going to keep collecting new data points and see how these roads are degrading. You know, and we're going to compare them to the curves that we have in place for these roads. If we notice that they're starting to degrade faster than the degradation curve suggests, then obviously we can kind of tweak the degradation curves for these specific roads, you know, as we kind of move forward.
So then that's my type, went down the path of why only every 3 years? Is there a point where you're checking it every year when you get to maybe a 70 or an 80? Do you check it every year? And what is the process? Why aren't we doing it every year?
Cost is one of the reasons. You know, it does cost, you know, a significant amount of money to have, you know, these roads assessed. You know, that's why we're kind of on a 3-year cycle. We're kind of looking to, we're still kind of feeling this out. This is relatively new. So we're kind of seeing if having new data points every 3 years is enough. If we don't feel like that is, then maybe we reassess and do it maybe every 2 years. You know, at the end of the day, you know, the more data points you collect, regardless of the range or the, you know, the time span between collection points, obviously that's going to paint a picture. And you can kind of generate your own curve, if you will, of a specific road. But yeah, that's something we're kind of experimenting with moving forward.
Great. That's all I had. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Trustee Rufato. Trustee Vito?
Yes, so for those PCI numbers, is it all an in-house thing to get the assessment? Like, what's the process? So you go.
So currently we have sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. We do have a third-party consultant that goes out there, and the way this works is they have specialized equipment that goes in, without getting into too much detail, they've got lasers, cameras, and they compile it into an algorithm using artificial intelligence to kind of generate a number based on all the surface defects. You know, they have different criteria for, you know, alligator cracking, longitudinal cracking, spalling, et cetera. All this stuff is collected on these cameras and obviously lasers through this third-party consultant. But we also have the ability to do these inspections in-house through Cartograph. It's very time-consuming, which is why we consult it out, because we just don't have the manpower to assess every street every year. But it is also costly to do it, you know, every year, so that's why we're on a 3-year cycle. But that's kind of what it looks like. A vehicle drives around every street in town, collects all this data, compiles it into a model that comes up with the PCI.
I think you and Dan are experienced enough. You can just drive around. That's a 60. That's a 50.
You can, once you've looked at enough roads, you can kind of get there.
But
it's
I got
nice.
confidence in you.
But it's nice to have the data to back that up.
All right.
all set? So they are looking for a consensus from us. Go ahead.
So as Dan said, this was a bit of a dog and pony show, and we wanted to show our homework, but ultimately, part of asset management is having a formalized plan. So I know it's a little, why are you asking us if status quo is okay? That, we want to make sure before we put into place a formalized plan that says to the public, to anyone who's asking, what is Wheeling's approach to our pavement plan? We want to make sure that you were okay with it in order to quote unquote formalize this plan. It's a little less obvious than the water rate study, because that was so directly tied to the fee that we charge our residents. In this case, that isn't the case. So we didn't want to make any assumptions on your behalf before filing a formal policy. So that's the point of all this.
So I guess the question would be status quo, or go for a higher quality of road or lower quality of road? Average? Or how would you phrase it?
That feels dangerous to me. Hearing no complaints, can we
Is everybody
move
happy
forward with the policy as it stands?
Trustee Rafato?
Yeah, it's hard to, I'd like to see something more, maybe in a year, as you're gathering more data points to give us a better idea, but right now I'd be okay with status quo.
Trustee Kruger?
A couple quick questions. When's the last time we had a consultant do the
Dog and pony?
CIs?
The 2023.
Oh,
I'm sorry, 24. Yeah, 2024.
We do a third of the town every year.
27 would be the next time.
The whole town.
76 is where we're at now, that's status quo. How much is a point worth if I said, what do we do if we go 75?
2.5 million, it was 10.7 to.
Yeah, 1 point, it's not going to be linear, but
Right.
going from a 76 to a 78 was like an extra 300,000 a year, $1.7 million $1.3 million over 5 years. To go down 2 points, I think it was a savings of $4.5 million. So it's not exactly linear, and obviously as roads get into different conditions, these numbers aren't going to be exactly the same. These budget numbers aren't going to be exactly the same. That's the whole point behind scenario builders, to kind of calculate these. It's going to be one fluid kind of motion here, if you will.
So if 76 is where we're at from a 2024 study, we're going to do it again in 2027, and we see where we're at. But I'm saying, I was actually thinking 75. See if there's any savings in a 75. It's close to status quo, but there might be, a couple $100,000 of savings, and you'd be implementing that now, right? We're at a 76, so what does it do if I tell you?
So when we started with this, our goal was to hit an OCI of 75, and we've been trying to just keep it north of there. When we ran our most recent model of the scores that we collected, we landed at 76. But 75 is what we've been looking to achieve.
Okay.
And the savings really is MFT, which means you're just saving it for another project a year down the road, which is why scenario builder is important too,
Right.
because we can do that. We can pull back on what we spend on MFT this year, knowing that in 2 years, we have a huge project coming up. That's part of the brilliance of
So
the
that was a
scenario
long
builder.
way to go to just say status quo for me.
Excellent.
Trustee Lang?
Sorry.
Briefer. Yeah, I'm good with the status quo, but you
Thank
also
you.
have your team every day driving these roads and assessing, I hope, looking to see where there's issues and problems and, something developed, that they would hopefully report in to this program and say, hey, look, I just saw something that we should probably take a look at.
From that perspective, they would be reporting deficiencies for the purpose of repairing them immediately, typically throwing some hot rock in there now and then milling it out and then doing a formal patch when we have time to schedule that. While it's the use of the same software, it's a different application. The maintenance operator on the street reporting something is for the purpose of immediate repair. The scores that go into the condition of the pavement network is something that they're not typically engaged in, but they certainly are reporting any sort of deficiencies that need immediate attention as they see them.
The infrared and the lasers, it's like taking a core sample without taking a core sample. They're looking.
Sure, but I mean, there's always the visible.
Sure.
And, you know, and like you said, our guys are on our roads every single day. So, and police as well, can easily report in if something is amiss. Like to see that, you know, I'm sure it happens, but, you know, that's something we can rely on as well for visible. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Lang. Trustee Vito?
Yes.
That was brief.
Thank you, Trustee Vito.
Trustee Vogel?
Adequate for now, but maybe in a year from now, after another winter, I'd like to see an update, just to see, seeing as how this is a new concept, fairly new.
Yes, yeah. We have 2 years of
A year
data.
from now on.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Trustee Vogel, you have a direction, your consensus.
Thank you.
Awesome. That brings us to formerly item 11A, currently item 13C, consent agenda item, a resolution waiving competitive bid and approving contract with Ray O'Haron Incorporated for the purchase of 24 Springfield Model St. Victor rifles in the amount of $53,301.60. Questions or comments? There being none, motion to approve.
So moved.
Trustee Rufato, second. Trustee Vogel, roll call.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato? Yes. President Horker?
Yes, official communications. Mr. Svandilis, we have a parade coming up.
Thank you. Yes, just a reminder that the Village of Wheeling is participating in the annual AMVETS Memorial Day Parade, which will take place on Monday, May 26th, kicking off at the former Sam's Club parking lot at 10:30 a.m. The parade kicks off at 10:30 a.m. It will conclude at AMVETS at 11 with a brief ceremony, and AMVETS will be providing lunch and snacks following the ceremony.
Thank you, sir. Any other official communications? If there is no other regular business, we still have the bills to pay for April 30th through May 14th, 2025. I need a motion for their approval.
So moved.
Motion Trustee Rufato, second Trustee Lang, roll call.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes, we do have an executive session this evening for the purposes of pending probable and/or imminent litigation and collective negotiating matters. That being the case, I need a motion to recess into executive session and adjourn the regular meeting. There will be no business conducted after the executive session. Motion, please.
So moved.
Trustee Krueger, second.
Second.
Trustee Vogel, roll call.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Lang? Trustee Krueger?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
President Horker?
Recess.